On this week's episode, we will be looking back at the much anticipated return of football last weekend in the Bundesliga, whilst giving our views on the Bundesliga season thus far and taking an in-depth look at the young prospects that are beginning to shine within the league. Yet again, we hope you enjoy, and thank you again for listening to episode number 5.
Alright, great that football's back finally. A lot of Bundesliga at the weekend. Took in a couple of games. What about yourself, Joe?
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of an uplifting event, seeing football back on TV screens, albeit without the fans in the stadium. But you know, we can't be greedy at this point in time.
I know, fantastic. Was just sitting. It was like Christmas Day, waiting for the games to come on. I was just watching everything. Sort of lightly watching matches, and then there was a couple of games I watched in great detail. On Saturday afternoon I took in the Dortmund one, and then I was really interested in the Bayern Munich one and on Sunday because they were playing against Union Berlin, and I heard that they were a big team back in the day, but they hadn't been in Bundesliga for quite long. I was quite impressed by their ground as well.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a strange ground, obviously, with the three sides standing. It's not, you don't see that much in English football, but obviously in German they've still got a lot of standing areas in the stadium, so it's quite a unique stadium.
Yeah, it was interesting. And I think I was actually looking out for one of their games anyway before all the coronavirus thing happened, because I did want to see what that ground would be like, absolutely packed. Yeah. It'd be interesting maybe to see something like that in English football. You know, if it is safe to do so.
It's strange, obviously, because that sort of stadium layout does create a better atmosphere, in my opinion, because you know the fans are a lot closer together and they can get more packed in.
Yeah.
But obviously, what's happened in England, we can't have that due to obviously safety reasons and stuff like that. But it does create such a unique atmosphere, and I think that helps teams like Union Berlin on in big games, and I think it would have helped them.
Yeah, well, it's interesting.
Would have helped them massively in the game against Bayern.
Obviously, United are trialling it next year, but a safe standing, so maybe that'll be the start of something.
Yeah, especially for teams like Union Berlin in the game at the weekend against Bayern Munich. The fans would have been up for it. You know, first time that Bayern have been there in a long time. It just been a great occasion and would have spurred the team on, because looking back at how they've performed earlier in the season against teams like Dortmund and Mönchengladbach, the fans have been, it's a big cliche, but you know, they've been their 12th man and they've pushed them on to get some good results against some good teams, so it may have helped them on Sunday, but unfortunately
they couldn't have them. But maybe first season momentum, so we don't really know how they'll do next season, but
bit like a Sheffield United of the German league.
Yeah. Then their steam's been taken away from them. Same with Dortmund, really, because you know it's interesting to see their fans where they are when you watch a Dortmund match.
Oh yeah,
especially the yellow wall. But
it's such an iconic stand in world football, and to see it empty, it's a bit eerie, and it just doesn't have the same impact when you're watching the game. But I think we can't be too greedy. We've just got to accept that football's back now. We've got to appreciate it for what it is. But you've got to admit, it is quite funny looking at the bench and seeing the subs 2 metres apart.
Oh, that was weird.
Especially on the Dortmund game, you know, it was going all the way down the touchline, and then 2 minutes later they're running onto the pitch to have a bit of a tussle with each other. But
it's weird. It's like getting big robots.
It was quite funny.
To be honest with you, that Dortmund team don't really need their fans at the minute. They're fantastic.
Oh, they're unbelievable.
Bit of a slow start to the game, but
yeah, I noticed that with all the games, to be fair. But it's like you expect it, don't you? Really, because you've had such a long time off. It just takes a few minutes to get back up to match pace. No one's just going to come firing all guns blazing at the start, and you expect a bit of lethargic play and a bit of rustiness at the start. But I feel after 25 minutes or half an hour of every game, they started picking up the rhythm again, and then really started getting into the steam of things. So you know, it's not too bad.
That's it. Since they knew it was a competitive game, I suppose it just sort of set into gear a bit quicker. But yeah, there was a few players that I hadn't actually got the chance really to watch before, because
Yeah.
I'd obviously be watching other football instead of Bundesliga. But the likes of Thorgan Hazard and Paulo Guerrero, like I hadn't seen them play before. I thought they were classy, like they were good.
Yeah, as well as Hakimi and Julian Brandt, I thought both had good games as well. Julian Brandt just seems to be growing each season, and who knows where it will be. I think he could potentially be the next big thing regarding the German team that they sort of build around, and like they always do with great players.
He's almost like a bit of a sort of De Bruyne-esque kind of. Well, he's sort of growing into that anyway. Obviously not quite just as good yet, but there's a few good goals in that game as well. Holland's finish was fantastic.
Oh, he's something else. He's out of this world, and he's only still developing as a player. He's got obviously 10 goals in 9 Bundesliga games. It's just, you can't ignore the talent that's there, and the finishing that he's got is just lethal. He's deadly, absolutely deadly, and he's got the electric pace. He's got everything to his game at the moment, and it's whether he can maintain this level and grow. So, it's going to be exciting to see where he turns out to be in a few years.
I'd say he's about 6'5". He's rapid, he's strong, and he can fairly hit the ball. So
it'd be interesting to see if he was to come up in the Premier League, to see him up against obviously centre backs like Van Dijk and Harry Maguire, to see what he would do to them, see whether they would be a match up to him or whether he would run them silly.
You'd beat Maguire for speed.
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
Well, no. But I think Van Dijk would maybe match him, be a bit of a 50-50.
Yeah, maybe.
So, yeah, but then Van Dijk sort of done a good job on Messi last year.
Yeah.
And what can you do after that? But I was disappointed not to get the opportunity to see Sancho as well.
Yeah, it came on for a few minutes at the end, but he didn't have
really
enough.
See anything.
Yeah, he didn't have enough time to sort of come into a game, especially when the game was already done and dusted. 4-0. He came on, didn't have a lot to do. No players. Well, a lot of the Schalke players looked a bit dejected by that point, and he couldn't really do much. But going back to Guerrero's goals, I thought it was a superb goal where everyone thought he was going to take it on his right foot, but he was the outside of his left and bent it round the keeper. So you can see that even though they've been away for a long time, you don't lose the quality in the final third like Dortmund have.
That was mad. It was a classy finish.
It was a classy finish, and I think that team if they can keep that team together, which is obviously the hardest thing to do when you've got a lot of young players who attract attention from around the world, I think they're just going to be a force to be reckoned with over the next few years.
Yeah, but then they seem to just constantly, find young players to bring in and just reinvent it, because they lost Pulisic last year, and they obviously had a big part in developing him
a few years ago.
Yeah, and then now they've got Reina, another American guy. Who seems to be quite promising. He's only 16. He's 17 now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's quite promising. So it is interesting what Dortmund do.
It'll be interesting, as well. I think they need to sort of bridge that gap between Bayern and themselves regarding stature and players wanting to play for them, because it's just been ridiculous how many players have made the switch from Dortmund to Bayern. If they can make themselves a team at the same level of attractiveness as Bayern Munich for a player, I think they've got chances to dominate the league and push further in the Champions League each year. So it's just about that.
Surely there's bound to be a lot of factors. Probably money being one. But then I think if they see that they can get away with buying players, young players, developing them and sort of building up that image of themselves and selling them on and getting more money, then I suppose it is a good plan. They are in the Champions League every year.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
They do come close to winning the league. They're not a million miles away.
Oh yeah, especially this season.
First to fourth place, there's only 7 points in it.
Yeah, it's not like other years where Bayern have sort of stormed the league. It's still a chance for 4 teams to win the league at this point, but it's exciting league.
And you can't see Bayern slipping up too much.
It's a bit inconsistent from them. Apart from recently, they've hit a bit of form. under the new manager. But anything can happen in football, can't it? So who knows?
Yeah, the Bayern game was interesting as well. Lewandowski, just class as usual. Brilliant. And it was quite weird. I never knew David Alaba had switched from left back to centre back as well. It was another interesting thing to see. It was weird,
The thing is with the Bayern Munich team is that they've got so many versatile players that can switch positions so easily. They've obviously got Alaba who can switch, and Joshua Kimmich who can play right back, he can play centre mid. They've got so many players that can switch so easily, and that just helps them dominate so much because if a player gets injured, they've got a player who can fill his position, a player who is capable of filling his position. It's just they've got squad depth which is out of this world. And you look at every player that they've got, and they're in every position. They're so strong in every position and so dominant in every position, and they've just got that ability to recruit players who are at the top of the game, which is obviously the dream to have when you're a football team and a football club.
Yeah, they also, in a way, have do the same as Dortmund quite a bit, because if you look at the likes of Gnabry, he left Arsenal, and who did he go to in the Bundesliga before?
Was it Wolfsburg?
Yeah, I think it was Wolfsburg, and then he's obviously then made the step up to Bayern Munich. He's not coming from a Champions League club. So,
I think,
and now he's probably regarded as a world class player, and he's got a solid place in the Germany team.
Yeah, that what impressed me massively with the Bayern Munich team in that game was that left hand side where the link up between Alphonso Davies and Serge Gnabry. It was just the pace, the electric pace.
There we go. Davies is another one.
Exactly, young Canadian player. Fantastic performance against Chelsea, obviously before the break in play in the Champions League. I think them two linking up with the pace and the quality that they've got on that left hand side, albeit it was against obviously not a brilliant, no disrespect to Union Berlin, but it wasn't the best team in the league, but they were just tearing things apart down that left hand side, and it was exciting to see, I'm guessing, for Bayern Munich fans, and it's exciting to just watch as a neutral watching the game.
I think it might have been slightly different with the fans there. Maybe, but then
definitely.
You can't really say that about Bayern Munich because
they're
obviously played in all sorts of environments, but
they're a machine that them more.
And they're just too good. And then they still rely a bit on experience as well. They've got the likes of Thomas Müller, who's been there for ages, Neuer, who just hasn't got any worse.
He had a bit of a blip, but I think he's back to his best at the moment. And then you just look at, I think we have to talk about Robert Lewandowski. I think 26 goals this season, 40 goals in all competitions. He has to be up there with the best.
I think he's underrated.
Best striker in the world. I think the thing that strikes me the most is why he hasn't. You never hear him being linked with, say, Man United or Liverpool, or whether he's got a monstrous wage that no one can afford, or he just really doesn't want to leave Bayern Munich. You never hear him being
maybe
linked
he just makes it clear and commits himself to Bayern Munich. You wouldn't know.
Exactly. But
he's fantastic.
Oh, his finishing is unbelievable, and the composure he had with that penalty to just pass it into the net, it was just unbelievable. Oh yeah,
like Jorginho.
He's unbelievable player.
Yeah, brilliant. It takes confidence, definitely. But if he had their capacity 22,000 Union Berlin fans on the terraces, said no,
maybe he wouldn't have done that.
It would have been that same players doing the Panenka and World Cup finals. So crazy. The league table sort of took a bit of a turn.
Yeah,
definitely. It was weird because obviously Mönchengladbach overtook Leipzig because Leipzig got a draw.
Yeah.
And Leipzig have been pretty impressive in the Champions League as well.
Yeah, they've
had a good game against Spurs. And they've got a few players that have been linked to Premier League clubs, like Werner and centre back
Umpaccio. I'll let you try to pronounce that.
Yeah. So
And then you look as well with the top four. The top four is being contested so fiercely, and then Leverkusen got a good win against Werder Bremen, which brings them within 1 point of Leipzig. So it just just look at that table one game after the break and it's
open.
being thrown wide open again. And
completely open. The thing is, they're just going to have to beat each other to get a bit of a gain on.
Yeah,
Dortmund
definitely. I think there's a good game. I think it's this week, Dortmund against Bayern Munich, which should be an unbelievable game to see the two sides come up against each other.
Very interesting. Saying that, maybe Dortmund will be even stronger this time. They'll have Sancho back.
Yeah, it's whether he's got back to full fitness and can play.
It'll be interesting to see Haaland's sort of attitude against Bayern Munich, because I've seen when he was the game at the weekend. I've seen he threw an elbow into one of the Schalke defenders at a corner. It was quite funny and interesting. I'd like to see if he has the confidence to be that aggressive against Bayern Munich.
It's weird.
Some other players are absolutely shapes, like Xavi Martinez or something.
No, like Jerome Boateng.
Yeah.
Throw name. But yeah, it'll be a good game, I reckon, because you look at Dortmund when they play now, and the same as Bayern Munich, they like to express and dominate games. So it'll be interesting to see whether Dortmund go into that game with the same sort of plan, or they go in with a more reserved plan and try catch Dortmund on the break or something like that.
It's interesting. It's a game neither of them want to lose. So
exactly. So it could turn into.
Can afford to lose it.
Yeah, it could turn into the City Liverpool game that happened this season, where both teams went in not wanting to lose, which kind of spoils the spectacle in a way. But you can't blame both teams for going in with that mentality, really. So
it's crazy. In the bottom end of the table, Paderborn. I don't know much about them, but I know they're sort of a small team. They've only been in the Bundesliga for a few years.
Yeah, the 0-0 draw against Fortuna. It was
and then Werder Bremen.
Bit of a drab result that between the bottom team.
Found out the weekend of Werder Bremen are the longest, team in the top flight. So, which is a bit crazy that they're at the bottom.
I know it is strange seeing them down there, because even when you think of German Bundesliga, you think of your Bayerns, your Dortmunds, your Schalkes, and then Werder Bremen's that far behind when you think about it. So it's it's sort of a similar situation to when Hamburg went down a few years ago. It's one of them things. It's sort of the too big to go down. But
Cologne were
clearly not
in the league below last season as well. They're promoted and they're doing quite well. 10th.
Yeah, it's a strange situation, but
That's crazy.
It proves that no team's too big to go down. Anyone can go down if you don't play well, and they're the consequences you've got to face.
That's it. Just sort of bad management and bad recruitment can lead to that.
Oh yeah, and I think watching the game against Leverkusen, they just weren't. The quality wasn't there. It was just very sloppy. And
weird. They got the equaliser, and then it seemed like they were going to build a bit of confidence. And then when you just crumble like that, after getting an equaliser,
it was a proper crumbling performance. That, and as I say, with other teams, it took them 20-30 minutes to lose the sloppy passes and get into the swing of things. But it seemed that Bremen were, for 90 minutes, throwing in sloppy passes and not finding them.
Since it's almost like a new season as well, like if Bremen did come back and end up getting a draw or even losing 2-1 and having a bit of an inspiring performance, they could have got a lot out of that. But since they're just starting off the so-called new season,
especially about that,
it's just not going to help. In fact, it's probably going to make things worse. They're just going to think the same thing's happening again.
Yeah, I did like Steve McManaman commentating on the Dortmund game, talking about forms, about how teams are coming in with form, but I mean, don't really matter, does it, about forms when you've had 2 months off from the game? Like you say, it's a brand new season, so form is completely out the window. It gives teams like Bremen and teams down the bottom a chance to restart and maybe get a bit of momentum coming into the final few games of the season. So it's like a second birth for them. Yeah,
it's interesting. Cologne as well. They're a team with big expectation.
Yeah.
I watched a bit of their game at the weekend. I was interested. The commentator was talking about the amount of expectation at that club. They sacked their manager early on this season. The manager that got them promoted from Bundesliga 2.
Yeah.
And they weren't doing that bad. But now they're away up the table, 10th. I never realised how big a club they actually were in Germany.
Oh yeah,
and
I think
I was
that
doing a
could
bit
be
of a quiz. Yeah,
that could be like a bit of a downfall for a team as well. The high expectations, because it's hard to compete with the teams like Bayern Munich and obviously teams up there at the top. So to have that expectation on your players every week who aren't gonna potentially perform to that level, it can bring the club down. Obviously, that was seen when they got relegated. But at the same time, it's like a Leeds sort of scenario. If you relate it to an England thing, they've got such high expectations, but just never really reach them expectations. But yeah, it's good to see him back in the Bundesliga, performing relatively well as well.
Yeah, I was actually doing a bit of a quizzing Saturday night and found out that their mascot is a live goat every match. To bring it out in the pitch. But they weren't allowed to do that for some reason. I don't know if goats can get coronavirus or. But sure.
That's why they only drew.
Looking out. What is it?
That's why they only drew. Didn't have the goat.
I was looking out for it. But I think in general, the Bundesliga, having probably not paid much attention to it in the past few years, but now sort of in a way being forced to because it's the only football. There's a lot of, it's almost like a bit of a, it sounds a bit condescending, but it's like a bit of a development league in a way that a lot of young players, are in that league getting a chance. And then they're always constantly being linked to a move to Spain or to England.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is a bit mad, because if you're playing for a club like Dortmund or Bayern and you're playing Champions League every season and you have a chance to win the Bundesliga, like Bayern and Dortmund are two massive clubs.
Yeah, and it's not like they're just playing in the Champions League, they get deep into the competition as well. I think Bayern Munich just constantly reach a semi-final a lot, most years, and it's just, they've got such good quality in the team. It's just baffling to see how that league hasn't sort of bridged the gap from a development league into obviously a top league like the Premier League.
Do you think it is because Dortmund and Bayern are too dominant?
I don't know, because they're not that dominant this year, which is, I don't know whether it's like the Premier League this year. Well, obviously, if you take Liverpool out of the equation,
that's what's starting to happen to the Premier League.
It's not. Well, if you look at the Premier League and take Liverpool out of it, the rest of the teams have sort of been less consistent, and maybe I think that's what's happened in the Bundesliga this year, is that teams are just becoming less consistent, which from the spectators' point of view, it's creating a bit of a better spectacle. But I don't know but you do see the quality gap between Bayern and other teams when you do watch them on the pitch. But I don't know. You do look at them two teams as the top two teams in the league, and you look at Leipzig, who have got a meteoric rise and are bridging the gap. But I don't know. I think them two will be the two teams for the foreseeable future which dominate the league. Probably. Yeah, probably.
Well, the thing is, Bayern sign a lot of players from other Bundesliga clubs, and Dortmund as well. So that sort of has a bit of a knock-on effect. And I think they are worldwide clubs. They do have fans worldwide, so they're going to get a lot more income. And
definitely.
They do have more money to spend on players. So I think that might be something to do with the dominance, because the other teams still have the equal opportunity of Champions League football.
Yeah.
On an equal sort of playing level, but it's like the Premier League, isn't it? You have players you have teams that just bring in a lot more money, regardless of whether they're in the Champions League or not.
Yeah.
United being an example, they're still going to bring in a lot of money.
It's just I think as well with the league as a whole, if you compare it to the Premier League is just such a globally watched league. Like if you went to any country in the world, they'd probably watch a Premier League game every weekend, whereas the Bundesliga, even people in England, you don't really sit down and watch a Bundesliga game. No. It's just not as widely watched and consumed as the Premier League, which is always going to be its downfall. But I'm sure in time they can build on that and learn from what the Premier League's done to sort of build the fan base and create more revenue for the league and the clubs within it.
With all the young players in the Bundesliga, obviously a lot of them are just constantly linked to Premier League clubs. Obviously we'll focus on one at the minute, Sancho, who's probably had the most speculation. Do you think Sancho should move, or should he give it another while at Dortmund?
It's a tough one because it's like nobody knows what's going to happen to his career regarding his performances. But if he stays another year, he might have missed the boat. If he leaves this year, he might have chosen too soon. But personally, I think if he can, he should hold on for another season at Dortmund.
It's really hard to know. Hard to know.
Just because I think he's guaranteed game time there. If he can maintain another season like he's done this year, he's sort of proved that he can perform at the highest level for a sustained period of time. Whereas he had a good season last year and an exceptional season this year. I just don't know whether he's ready for the pressures of like a Man United move or a Chelsea move, because everybody will be watching him every game to wait for him to make a mistake.
Liverpool would suit him?
I think obviously you can't look past Liverpool, but personally for Sancho to move to Liverpool, I don't think it'll be the best move for him, potentially, because you look at the talent that they've got now. Would he slot straight into the team? Maybe not. It's same with Werner. I think he's being linked a lot. He's being linked a lot as well, and I don't think Werner would want. Well, obviously he would want to go to Liverpool, but does he want to play second string to Firmino and Mane and Salah and be like a rotation player coming in?
Thing is, Klopp might have a level of understanding. Coming from Dortmund, he might have communication back there still about Sancho, what type of player he is, what he needs. So it might actually be a good move if you think about it that way. Whereas if he went somewhere completely alien to him, like a Spurs or a Chelsea or a United, then he might find it harder. But then saying that, he did move from England to Bundesliga at the age of 17. That takes quite a lot. So he's already proved he can do that.
Oh yeah, definitely, and he's proved how good he is as a player. He's just unbelievable to watch. 15 assists and 14 goals this season. It's just unbelievable for a man of such a young age. And then
Haaland, could you see him getting a move?
Well, obviously there was the big saga about him before he moved to Dortmund about would he go to Man United, and then there was rumours about Ollie flying out to see him and him turning him down. But I think moving to Dortmund was an unbelievable decision from him personally, because it gave him that bit of a step up.
It might have been forced. Don't know, but it's kind of worked out well for him.
Yeah, it gave him that step up without jumping too high, because he got his Champions League football. He got obviously to play in the Bundesliga against some great players. But it's a matter of time before he gets taken to another club. I think you look at clubs like Real Madrid, who players just can't turn down if you get offered a place there. I think they'll be hot on his tail soon.
The likes of Real Madrid, he'd probably suit their style of play as well. I don't think he would suit Barcelona at all.
No, I can't see him at Barca.
It'd be an ideal replacement for Benzema.
I think definitely.
He's 33, 34.
And we talk of Lewandowski, and there's another player that I think's been quite underrated over time, but I'm sure that's a conversation for another time. But I can see him fitting into a sort of a Real Madrid sort of setup, and then there'll be
Chelsea maybe, but
there'll be Premier League teams falling at his feet.
Yeah, I don't know if Chelsea don't get Champions League football, then it's an unlikely. But I think he should give another year at Dortmund. 100%.
Oh yeah, especially with all this 100%. Going on.
Sancho's proved himself more at the minute, because he's done it for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, you do look at Haaland. He only has been there since January. I think everyone seems to start forgetting that already. He's only been there a short term of time, so he could be living off momentum from the Salzburg days. But when you do watch him, it's undeniable that he's got such high levels of class, and his finishing ability is unbelievable, and his pace, it's just, you can't ignore it as a team. Really. Oh yeah, unbelievable.
He's almost like, he reminds me of the sort of, well, obviously Ronaldo started off as a winger, and now he's sort of adapted into a bit of a striker, because he's had to change his game as he gets older. Haaland's kind of a bit of that kind of mould. Ronaldo was a striker. He's got a speed, he's got height, he's good in the air, so he can hit a shot really hard.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
That's what he's. That's the kind of player he is. Havertz. Haven't seen much of Havertz myself, but he's just constantly been linked with Premier League moves for the last few years. I know he's got 8 goals and 5 assists this season, which is decent coming from midfield, considering the season isn't over.
Yeah,
There's 8 or 9 games left.
Yeah, I watched him in the game this week, and he performed well. I think he did put in a very mature performance, for such a young player, and sort of dictated play and sort of had a hand in everything. And I think he's a promising one that Premier League clubs again will be looking at. He's obviously been linked to Liverpool, and I'm sure there's other teams that are keeping a close eye on him. So I think it'll be a matter of time before he finds his way to the Premier League at some point.
Yeah, but then again, I just don't think he's getting the same sort of publicity that the likes of Haaland has. I think it's your image sometimes.
I think that'll help him.
6'5", and he's quick.
Yeah, I think that'll help Havertz, sort of, because you can sort of stay under the radar a bit, even though he's putting in unbelievable performances. He can stay under the radar, get the move, and then when he does get the move, there won't be as much spotlight on him waiting for him to make a mistake. Whereas players like Sancho and Haaland, if they do come to the Premier League, the media will be straight on their backs waiting for them to make a mistake and sort of ready to tear them down from the pedestal.
Or Bayern could just snap him up like the way they do with most Bundesliga players.
Yeah. To be fair, I can see Havertz going to Bayern, if I'm being honest.
To be honest with you, at the minute, that's probably more likely.
Yeah, he looks like he would fit.
Especially
fit
with
nicely into.
We don't know how the transfer market's going to be affected with the coronavirus.
Yeah,
Players might not want to take the risk of moving to a different country after this.
And some clubs obviously won't be able to afford. Some clubs will need to sell to stay afloat. I think it'll be a strange transfer market with big clubs dominating by stealing a lot of players from a lot of smaller clubs, like maybe Havertz at Leverkusen. And if Man United can offer silly amounts of money for Sancho, I think Dortmund won't be able to turn it down, because it'll be a much needed revenue stream coming into the club.
No, it'll be a bit different for Sancho as well, because he's moving back home.
Yeah, definitely.
That might be a bit of a comfort blanket after all this.
Yeah, whereas you look at other players like Werner and Havertz, who obviously are German and will be moving out of the German game for the first time, so it'll be harder for them, I think, during all this sort of crazy times to make that move at the moment.
Right, just to finish it up, what's your predictions for Dortmund and Bayern this Tuesday night? It is.
Is it at Bayern?
Tuesday night. It is at Dortmund.
It's at Dortmund, right? Not that it makes much difference anymore. I think that Bayern will snatch it 2-1.
2-1.
2-1, and I think Dortmund will take the lead early on, and then Bayern will just grow into the game, get an equaliser before half time, and then just dominate the second half. I think that's how it's going to go. What about you?
I think Dortmund have a few sort of glimpses of quality in their squad where if you give them the opportunity to, they'll definitely take advantage. But I think Bayern are probably more adaptable. I think they have the players that could probably adapt to any situation. And obviously without the home advantage really for Dortmund, because there's no fans. I think Bayern they'll dictate the pace of the game.
Yeah.
When I watched Dortmund against Schalke at the weekend, they didn't exactly keep possession. We're sort of like a bit of a counter-attacking team.
Yeah.
And that's against weaker opposition. But I feel like the pace that Bayern have at the back, with the likes of Alaba at centre back, Davies left back, Kimmich right back, that pace is just could probably match the likes of Sancho or Haaland if they were counter-attacked. So, considering that they're both going for the title, I think I might go for a 1 each. 0 each, 1 each.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bayern will just go all guns blazing. They might just want to play it safe. Anyway, it was brilliant talking about the Bundesliga. At least we'll have something to talk about now that is actually happening in football.
I know, it's good. It's good watching live games of football and to stop watching reruns of Premier League years. Yeah. Premier League years, I've watched far too many of them, so it's nice to get some fresh football on the scene, and some good football in spells, and hopefully it won't be too long before we see the Premier League back and other leagues around the world.
That's it. Right. See you next week.
See you next week. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.